so our first word is hallucinate.
This house is full of mold, and some mold makes people sick, Bodhi. It makes them hallucinate. It could explain why Mom doesn't remember anything.
And hallucinate means to think something is there. You see something or you hear something, and in your mind, it's definitely real. It's definitely happening. But the thing is, it's not real. It's not actually there. So you might think you see someone, but they're not there. Sometimes, and this happens to everybody, like you'll think you'll hear something or you think something will look one way, but it's actually something else, especially when you first wake up and your mind's not totally on yet. This is not that. This is like you're wide awake, ready to go. You think you like see someone right in front of you, but they're not there. You're hallucinating. So if you were to use this in a sentence, you might say something like, I think I just hallucinated. I thought I just saw my dead family member, but that can't be possible. I think it's most likely for you to use this in a sentence to accuse somebody of hallucinating. When you do this, you're not actually saying you're seeing people that aren't there or you're hearing things that aren't there. You're kind of calling them delusional. You're kind of saying you're imagining this. So maybe someone thinks that a situation is one way and you're like, no, it's not like that. You're hallucinating. This isn't real. And in this case, you're being a little mean. You're being a little snarky. You're basically saying you're imagining a situation that's not really happening. So hallucinate truly is like a medical condition where you have a problem where you're seeing and hearing things that aren't there. But the way that we use it more often, it can definitely be used in that way, but that's like a serious medical way. But the way that we more often use it is we're kind of telling you that you don't know what you're talking about. This is all in your head. This isn't really happening. I mean, we've all been in situations where one person thinks one thing, another person thinks something else. And so in this case, you might be like, yeah, you're hallucinating this. So our next word is bait.
The most important thing is bait. You gotta ask yourself, what does my enemy most want?
So bait means that something is being used to lure something. Something is being used to try and get someone or something to come to a place. And I think it's pretty much always a trap. Pretty sure it's always going to be a trap of some sort. This is something where someone may go somewhere without you trying to bait them, but they might not. And you use the bait to make sure that they come to the place that you want them to. Think fishing. When you are fishing, you know, you put like the worm or the shiny thing or the whatever. I don't fish. I don't actually know what you do when you're fishing because I've never gone fishing. But you have the bait. You have whatever it is that you put at the end of the hook. You put that in the water, and you do that because you want the fish to come to it and bite on it. You are using the worm or the shiny thing as bait. You're using it to get them to come and do what you want them to do. You can do this with people too. This is actually done quite a lot. You might bait someone into saying something. So you'll kind of like throw something out there and try and get someone to react to it. So you'll kind of bait them. I'm going to say something, and I think the thing that I'm going to say is going to get you riled up and angry. And I'm just going to throw it out there. It's bait, and you might take the bait. So if you take the bait, that means I threw out that bait. I threw out that thing that I thought was going to get a reaction out of you, and you reacted. You took the bait. So when you take the bait, you're reacting to whatever that bait, that thing that someone's throwing up there to get a reaction out of you. That is really how this is probably used the most, unless you're fishing. In that case, you're going to use bait as the worm or the shiny thing that you're like throwing in the water to get the fish. But outside of that, and you can bait any animal. And you can say that animals, predators, bait other animals. So there's a lot of baiting that happens in the world. All it is you're just using something, a word, a person, a thing that someone wants some candy. You might bait a child with candy. Hopefully it's your child, otherwise that's not cool. But you might bait someone with something physical. Like, I know you want this, so come here. When I had a cat, I was constantly trying to bait my cat with treats. It did not work. He was smarter than me. So yeah, he knew he was going to get the treats regardless, and he would just wait me out. But I would try and bait him. I would try, put a line of treats to where I wanted him to come. It didn't work. Sometimes baiting doesn't work, but all you're doing is putting something out there and try and get someone to go where you want them to go or do what you want them to do. So our next word is uncanny.
It's uncanny. The way he reminds me of his father.
So uncanny is kind of a creepy word. Uncanny means that something is strange or mysterious in a way that's like a little eerie. It's a little scary. It's kind of like, this isn't normal. This doesn't quite feel correct. This doesn't feel right. This feels a little off. I think the most benign, so the most innocent way this word is used, if you say someone has an uncanny resemblance to someone. So maybe it's someone who's not a family member. It's just like a random person. It's like, oh wow, that's an uncanny resemblance. And so in that case, it's not really that creepy because you're just saying, wow, you look like someone who is not related to you at all and has nothing to do with you. You're like the spitting image of someone that's not your relative. It's uncanny. It's kind of weird. It's weird, basically. But you can get a little bit creepier with this word. You can have like an uncanny feeling. Maybe after you've watched a scary movie, you might kind of think you're being watched, or you're being followed, or there's a ghost or a body snatcher that's in your house trying to get you. So in this case, that would be an uncanny feeling. It's weird. It's mysterious. You're not quite sure what's happening or what's going on, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. It's uncanny. In Lock and Key, there are definitely some uncanny feelings. I'm always expecting the well lady to just show up somewhere. What is going on with her? Who is she? But I'm always expecting her to show up, and she's uncanny. Yeah, just something's off there. In fact, she's the perfect example. You don't usually call a person uncanny, but you can. I don't see why not. But yeah, just her being around, you would just be like, I just get this uncanny feeling whenever the well lady is around. She creeps me out. Also, she just seems like she might murder you. So there's that too. So our next one, it's a phrasal verb, is look out.
We've had quite a...
I do know. And I'm going to look out for him.
So look out just means you're like keeping watch. You're just vigilantly watching something. Just like, I'm watching. So in this case, in this episode, the teacher says he's going to look out for Tyler. And that just means he's going to make sure that Tyler is okay. He's going to take special care, pay special attention to make sure that Tyler is doing well. Probably that he's well emotionally since his father just died. I'm not giving anything away. You already know this. So probably just making sure he's okay emotionally, making sure he's fitting in since he's in a new school. So he's just trying to like make sure that everything's good with him. Just gonna keep a special eye out. That's another one. Keep an eye out and look out mean the same thing. So just making sure that he's doing well, he's doing okay. So you're just paying special attention to something. There are people called lookouts. So maybe in the military, there are people who are called lookouts, or like if you're playing with your friends and there's like an imaginary enemy. You're not hallucinating, they're imaginary. You know they're not actually there, so that's not hallucinating. But if you have like an imaginary enemy, you might have some binoculars. Someone is the lookout. Someone is there making sure that the enemy doesn't come, and if they do come, the lookout will see them and tell everybody else. They're going to warn you. So that's also a lookout as a person, and it all just means the same thing. So you might say something like, look out to make sure, or look out for your sister. Like your parents might say, look out for your sister, look out for your brother if you're the older sibling. You could say, I'm going to look out for, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to look out for mom and dad if you're like a teenager and you're home alone and you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. You might be like, I'm going to look out for mom and dad. So yeah, it's really just a matter of just keeping close eye on someone or something. So the next one is a phrase, and it's have my word.
You have my word.
Thank you.
So have my word is just like a promise. It's basically saying, I promise. So you might say to someone, you hear this in movies with knights and any sort of chivalry, do I have your word? Yes, you have my word, which is just saying, do you promise you're going to do this? Yes, I promise I'm going to do this. Sometimes you'll hear people say things like, my word is my bond, which basically means if I say that I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. I promise. You have my word. And that's really exactly how you would do it. Are you definitely going to do this? Yes, you have my word. I promise. Our next word is edible.
Jesus, what the hell happened? Fine. It's fake blood. Edible and washable.
Edible just means that you can eat something. That's it. It is able to be eaten. You can eat it and nothing bad will happen to you. Basically, it's some form of food. So certain plants are edible. Certain plants are not edible. So certain plants you can eat, like spinach and kale. And then certain plants, like certain mushrooms, are not edible. They're poisonous. Bad things will happen to you if you eat them. Think about food coloring. So plants is definitely where this is used a lot. Food coloring is used a lot as well. This word is used a lot when we talk about food coloring. And that just means if you're thinking like little kids, or if you're like decorating cookies or a cake or something like that, you always want to decorate anything that's going to go on someone, or that, could end up in their mouth. You want to make sure that it is edible, which just means it's safe to eat. So sometimes maybe you'll have a decoration, like just something beautifully decorated, and there'll be like little like fake flowers or something, and you might ask, is this edible? Is this edible is a little bit different than asking, is this meant to be eaten? So sometimes you'll have like a garnish. So like parsley is a very popular garnish, like randomly on the side of a plate, and someone might say, is this meant to be eaten? Parsley is obviously edible and good for you. But sometimes when you have a garnish on a plate, it's just there for looks and it's not necessarily meant to be eaten. And so those things are a little bit different. Edible just means it can be eaten. You can eat it. Nothing bad will happen. Nothing at all will happen, good or bad. Family heirloom is the next one.
So cool.
I've been holding on to that for a long time. I think you're old enough to wear it now. It's kind of a family heirloom.
Thanks, Dad. I love it.
And a family heirloom is just something that is passed down from one generation to the next in a family. A property, so a house, could be a family heirloom. It's just something that's been passed down from my grandmother to my mother to me. That would be a family heirloom. You just pass it down. Jewelry is a very popular family heirloom. Engagement rings are very popular as family heirlooms. If somebody in the family has like a really amazing engagement ring, they might choose to pass it down to their children, and then it just kind of stays in the family, and it's something that's important. Like it's something that in your heart represents your family. But it can really be anything that's passed down. It has to be something of significance. You wouldn't really say money is a family heirloom, even if it's like some sort of trust. I don't really know why. Usually it's something that's a little more tangible, although, I mean, you can hold money. Money is tangible. But it's usually like a thing because it has sentimental value. It has emotional value. It's not just, oh, I can go buy stuff with this. But it's like a family farm. Like if the farm has been in the family for 100 years, that's something that emotionally really matters to the family. Whereas, money, I mean, we all love money, but money isn't, something that has emotion, like this dollar is not like emotionally, I'm not emotionally attached to it, where I might be emotionally attached to a house or a piece of jewelry that's been passed down from like my great-great-grandmother. So that's really the difference. So a family heirloom has to be something that has some sentimental, some emotional value. It's really, really important to you and to your family as a whole. So if you were to use family heirloom in a sentence, you might say something like, this necklace is a family heirloom. My great-great-grandmother first got it from the King of Spain. It doesn't have to be from the King of Spain or anyone important. It can literally just be, it could be a trinket. It doesn't even have to be anything expensive. But yeah, that's how you would use it in a sentence. So the last one for episode 2 is to cover for someone.
I covered for you with Mom. Said you were in the school library studying.
Thanks.
So specifically, Kinsey says, I covered for you to Tyler. It is very common that siblings cover for each other. Sometimes they want to cover for their sibling. Sometimes they are asked to cover for their sibling. And sometimes they do it just out of sibling loyalty. They don't really want to do it. But I'm doing it because you're my brother, or I'm doing it because you're my sister. So when you're covering for someone, all you're doing is kind of hiding their misdeed, we'll call it. Sometimes it's a big misdeed, like you stole something and I covered for you. So you stole something and I made it seem like either it wasn't you or nothing was stolen. I pretended something was lost, or I said I did it. So if someone does something bad and you say that you did it, you covered for them. You took the blame for them. You don't have to take the blame for someone to cover for them. You can just make up a lie. So in this case, Tyler wasn't home when he was supposed to be, and Kinsey just made up some excuse, and I think she said he was at the library or something. So she covered for him so he wouldn't get in trouble. So he didn't do anything that terrible. She didn't get in trouble for what he did. She just told a lie so that he wouldn't get in trouble. And that's the most common way that people will cover for someone. They'll just tell a lie so someone won't get in trouble. Like I said, this happens all the time with siblings. If you have a sibling, I am sure that you can think of a time where you covered for them. I don't have a sibling. I'm an only child, so I've never had to do that. I've never had to cover. You can also cover for someone in a more positive way. So think about work. Maybe someone is out because they're sick and you just end up taking on their work. You do their work while they are on vacation or while they're out sick. You're covering for them. If you work in something that has shifts, like if you're a nurse or a doctor, maybe someone's not able to work that day and you would cover their shift, you would cover for them, you would do their work for them. Now that's in a good way. There's nothing bad there. In fact, that's a good thing because we need our medical workers working. So all you have to do to cover for someone is they were supposed to do something, and you step in. You either do it for them, or you tell a lie, or you make it so they don't get in trouble. You make it nice. You make it so everything is okay. All right, so that is it for our words and phrases from episode 2 of Lock and Key. I liked this episode. I'm liking this show. You guys tell me what you think in the comments below. If you want to use these words or phrases in a sentence, do it. I would love to see it and chat with you guys and comment on some of the sentences that you make. Alright, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and I'll keep making them. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when the next commentary on the next episode is coming out. Bye!